Okay, so just a couple things about shoes. You want to make sure you have your straps completely open so that it's ready for your foot to go in there when it's on the pedal. Most shoes are going to have some sort of Velcro down in here, or maybe a little strap up here or something like that to hold the strap in place so it won't move or close or whatever until you're ready to cinch it closed on your foot. You also want to be cognizant of the rubber bands that you pick. You can get a huge bag, but you can see some are thicker than others, like this one here or that one right there. I want to use the really tiny ones just because those are going to tear easier. So I've grabbed the appropriate size rubber band here, and to attach the shoe, all I really do is I just take the rubber band, put it through the loop on the bike, on the shoe. So you can see there it is. I put one end of the rubber band through there, and I cinch it closed, then I take that little loop and just hook it on the quick release. And it's obviously not going to hold it perfectly level. You can see this down a little bit. But the important thing here is really the crank arm, which you can see right here is pretty darn level. That's going to keep the shoe level, and this is going to keep it from jiggling enough when I'm running. It's not going to move as long as I don't spin the tire backwards and move it, but otherwise it's going to be okay. So that's how I do the left one. I put it on the quick release just by making that little loop. Oops, let me move the camera. Put on the quick release, make that little loop, crank arm level, and you're good to go. Okay, so for the right shoe, you have a few options where you can attach it. You can attach it to some part of your derailleur up here. I would always recommend using the metallic part that's actually on the frame. There's a little hook right there, or you can put it right on that. I've seen some people actually put the entire rubber band around the shoe and attach it to the crank arm, so the shoe will sit like this with the rubber band kind of around here, going around the crank arm here. Or you can actually bring it all the way back here and attach it to the skewer on the back wheel. It's another option. I find there's just a lot of stuff in between the actual shoe and that back skewer that's too much for me, so I will almost always hook it just right there and kind of then wrap it around under this, because this is all pretty solid. It's bolted to your frame. If you put it on part of the actual derailleur here or something up in here, that just scares me. I'm always worried I'm going to break it. So I almost always will use this. So let's attach it. So just like before, I get kind of the appropriate size rubber band here. I don't want it too small, but I also don't want it too tight. I'll take the shoe. I'll put the rubber band through the shoe like this. Loop part of the rubber band over. Make that little loop. And then just kind of hook it on there like that. Let's zoom in for... As you can see, I got it looped onto the strap on the shoe here. I've got it going up around that bolt and over that little nub right there. This will keep it still. Again, you know, the shoe's going to bobble a little bit as I'm running, but that's okay, because even though you can see the shoe bobbling, crank's not moving at all, and that's fine, because that shoe's going to move when you run. And again, the important thing is you want that crank arm to be level, because you want your shoes to be level so that when you jump on them during the flying mount, everything's ready to go. And as soon as you start to pedal, that rubber band will snap, or at a very minimum it'll come dislodged off here, and then you can just reach down and tear it. So let's transition outside and see how this looks full speed. So I just wanted to cover a few things that I think about when doing the flying dismount. Number one, when I take my bike off the rack, I want to make sure the back tire doesn't spin backwards, because that'll move the shoes and you don't want that to happen. After I take the bike off the rack, I will grab the saddle and run with the saddle in my hands. As I get closer to the mount line, I'll switch to the handlebars, starting with one hand, then ultimately transitioning to two. When I do the mount itself, I'll run next to it, put my left foot down, jump up with my right, and land on my bike and then start pedaling. That's pretty much it. Let's watch it full speed. So I also wanted to go over the actual logistics, I suppose, of doing a flying dismount. So you're just going to have to pretend that I'm actually riding my bike. But if I'm on my bike here riding, I will swing with both of my feet out of my shoes and just on top of my shoes. I'll swing my right leg over, go behind the saddle, and then bring my right leg in between the bike and my left leg, so it's now in front of my left foot, which is still on top of my shoe, bearing all of my weight, with my hands on the handlebars here. As I approach the dismount line, I will simply step off my bike and then run with it to my spot at the rack. So let's watch that live.